Students, in this video we'll discuss the story Old Man at the Bridge, written by Ernest Hemingway. Now this story focuses on the theme of war, and it also underlines the concern for animals. It's a first person narrative. It gives an account of the horrors of war. So Ernest Miller Hemingway was an American novelist, short story writer and journalist whose simple and understated writing was a strong influence on 20th century fiction. One of the shortest of Ernest Hemingway's short stories, Old Man at the Bridge, is based upon an incident that took place during an Easter Sunday stopover at the Ebro River while Hemingway was a war correspondent covering the Spanish Civil War. Old Man at the Bridge demonstrates the power of narrative art, that is first-person narrative. Hemingway takes a small ordinary detail in a situation and through the art of storytelling transforms it into a powerful story about the tragedy of war. The old man becomes a symbol of the countless civilian victims of war. That countless civilian victims refer to those people who become the collateral damage. Okay, that means that they do not have direct link with the war, but they are still affected. And that is why he says those without politics, those people who do not have anything to do with the politics. So how does their life become? So they are displaced from their place, from their hometown, disoriented and alone. Now this old man, who represents the countless civilian victims, faces the inevitability of death. You'll find that Ernest Hemingway has very well depicted the horrors of war without any bloodshed. Now this short story is in the form of a conversation between a soldier and an old man who had to leave his hometown during the Spanish Civil War. The story conveys the problems faced by people as victims of war in the form of a dialogue, and as the conversation advances the story further, it takes into a logical conclusion. So theme of the story and the characteristic traits of the two characters involved in the conversation are revealed through conversation. So let's read out. An old man with steel-rimmed spectacles and very dusty clothes sat by the side of the road. So here the author as a journalist has very well added the authenticity to the characters by showing the condition of the old man, okay, sitting by the side of the road. His clothes are dusty and he's wearing a steel rimmed spectacle, a spectacle whose rims are made up of steel. There was a pontoon bridge across the river, and carts, trucks and men, women and children were crossing it. So there's a mention of pontoon bridge. Now this pontoon bridge is a metaphor used, which is metaphor used in a way that it is a connecting point between life and impending death. What is a pontoon bridge? Pontoon bridge is a temporary floating platform, or it's a rickety bridge which is actually constructed in times of war, okay, in the remote areas, so that the people of those areas, okay, or the certain areas are evacuated, okay, they are helped to save their lives. They can just go through this bridge, they can save their lives and cross the boundaries and save their lives in case there is an urgency. The mule-drawn carts staggered up the steep bank from the bridge, with soldiers helping push up the steep bank from the bridge, with the soldiers helping push against the spokes of the wheels. So you can see the mule-drawn carts. This was the opening scene gives out the the scene of the aftermaths of the Spanish Civil War which had broken out. Okay, so it says that mule-drawn carts staggered. So the carts which were drawn by the mule is a kind of load-carrying animal. Okay, it's just a degradation of, you can say, a horse, right? It walked with unsteady steps, staggering because the surface was uneven, so they walked with staggering steps up the steep bank, or they could not pull the load. Therefore, the soldiers had to help them push against the spokes of the wheels. So, soldiers had to help the carts to be pushed further. The trucks ground up and away, heading out of it all, and the peasants plodded along in the ankle-deep dust. So it was quite dusty place. So peasants, they walked slowly because they were ankle-deep into the dust. But the old man sat there without moving. He was too tired to go any farther. So you see, the old man was really tired, so he did not have that much ability to move ahead. Next paragraph says, "It was my business to cross the bridge, explore the bridgehead beyond, and find out to what point the enemy had advanced." So this is about the author as a war correspondent. Now the author has taken up a role of a soldier over here. So what was his duty? So it was his duty to cross the bridge, okay, explore the bridgehead beyond, and find out to what point the enemy had advanced. Okay, so his duty was to observe the advancing of the enemy. "I did this and returned over the bridge." So after doing his work, he just returned back to the bridge. There were not so many carts now and very few people on foot. The old man was still there. So almost all the cars had left, but the old man stood there, was still there, sitting by the side of the road. "Where do you come from?" I asked him. "From San Carlos," he said and smiled. So as he mentioned, his questioned the old man that where did he come from? At that time, what did this man do? The old man replied that he was from San Carlos. This was his native town. That was a native town, and so it gave him pleasure to mention it, and he smiled. So that gave a positive vibration to the old man as he mentioned his native town's name. "I was taking care of animals," he explained. So now, as he said so, the soldier said, "Oh," I said, not quite understanding. Now, when the old man replied that he was taking care of animals, soldier did not understand. He simply said, "Oh." "Yes," he said, "I stayed, you see, taking care of animals. I was the last one to leave the town of San Carlos." He did not look like a shepherd nor a herdsman, and I looked at his black dusty clothes and his grey dusty face and his steel-rimmed spectacles and said, "What animals were they?" So, according to the author, the soldier, okay, he's just emphasizing his description again. See, in the first few lines we read that the old man was wearing black dusty clothes, and he was also wearing steel-rimmed spectacles, okay, and his face was also quite dusty. So this has been repeated again to emphasize the description of the old man. It also indicates that the old man was not very well off, okay, and this for the author or for the soldier assumed him as a shepherd, but he did not look so. He did not look like a shepherd nor a herdsman. "Where is the animals?" he said, and shook his head. "I had to leave them." The old man continued his conversation. So, "I was watching the bridge and the African-looking country of the Ebro Delta and wondering how long now it would be before we would see the enemy, and listening all the while for the first noises that would signal that ever mysterious event called contact." And the old man still sat there. Now the soldier questions the old man, "What animals were they?" "There were 3 animals altogether," he explained. "There were 2 goats and a cat, and then there were 4 pairs of pigeons." So over here you see the animal, the soldier's attention is distracted, seems to be distracted over here. His attention is towards the bridge, and then he continues with the conversation with the old man too. He gets to know about the animals of the old man. And you have to leave them, I asked. Then he repeats the same thing. So this is a proper picture of distracted mind. Yes, because of the artillery. The captain told me to go because of the artillery. Artillery refers to the army who who move on wheels with heavy guns. Okay, so the captain told me to go because of the artillery, said the old man. And you have no family, I asked, watching the far end of the bridge where a few last carts were hurrying down the slope of the bank. You can see the soldier's attention is towards the other side of the bridge also, the far end of the bridge. No, he said, only the animals, I stated. The cat, of course, will be all right. A cat can look out for itself, but I cannot think what will become of the others. So find over here the animal, the knowledge of animals has been displayed over here by this old man. He has a proper knowledge of his animal's behavior. He says that a cat can look out for itself, but he doesn't know what will become of the others. What politics have you, I asked. So over here you'll find that the soldier changes the course of conversation to the politics. He questions which side of politics are you in. I'm without politics, he said. I'm 76 years old. I have come 12 kilometers now, and I think now I can go no further. This is not a good place to stop, I said. If you can make it, there are trucks up the road. Wait, folks, for Tortosa. So over here the old man tells that I'm already 76 years old and he has already walked 12 kilometers from his native town, and at this point he doesn't have any strength left in his body to move any further. His body is no longer in a position to cope up, so he cannot go any further. This is not a good place. So soldier tells him that this place is not a safe territory. So he shows a little concern to the old man and tells him that he can there are trucks up the road where it forks for Tortosa. It's the name of place. I will wait a while, he said, and then I will go. Where do the trucks go? He inquires of the trucks. So the soldier tells him towards Barcelona. Barcelona is a place in Spain. I know no one in that direction, he said, but thank you very much. Thank you again very much. So over here you'll find that this old man area of contact is limited. Okay, unlike he just knows about San Carlos and has not moved any further, has not gone anywhere away from that place. So he doesn't know much about the places which are here and there. In other words, you can say that the old man doesn't have any social ties with anyone. He doesn't have any family. He doesn't have anyone known. He doesn't know about the places around his native town. He looked at me very blankly and tiredly, then said, having to share his worry with someone, the cat will be all right. I'm sure there is no need to be unquiet about the cat. Unquiet means worried. But the others, now what do you think about the others? Now over here you'll see that due to the old age, the old man seems to repeat the same thing again and again, that the cat will be all right. He's quite sure about the cats, but what about the other animals? So he just wants to get the assurance from the soldier. So though he has been made to leave the town because of artillery, what about his animals? So the soldier replies, why, they'll probably come through it all right, that they'll be all right. You think so? So he wants to get the reassurance from the soldier that do you think so that they'll be all right? Why not? I said, watching the far bank where now there were no carts. That means the last cart had already passed and they were still conversing there. But what will they do under the artillery when I was told to leave because of the artillery? So he means to say that even like I was, if I had to leave because of artillery, what about my animals? So what will they do under the artillery? So did you leave the dove cage unlocked? I asked. Yes, then they'll fly. Yes, certainly they'll fly. But the others, it's better not to think about the others, he said. Now there's a conflicting worries in the mind of this old man. He's worried about his animals. So dove will fly, cats will take care of itself. He said, what about the other animals? If you are rested, I would go, I urged. Get up and try to walk now. So Soul tells him, now if you have taken rest, then he should move on now. Thank you, he said, and got to his feet, swayed from side to side, and then sat down backwards in the dust. You can see the inability of this elderly man. Okay, he's not able to get up. He doesn't have any strength to get up on his feet. And so he has to sway. He has to move from side to side to make an effort to stand up. Okay, again then he sat backwards in the dust. I was taking care of animals, he said dully with a dull voice, but no longer to me. I was only taking care of animals. So over here he means to say these lines are quite significant. Okay, so just you can underline and note it down. These lines tell us the aggrieved state of the old man, that he says that he had nothing to do with the war. He was only taking care of animals. So why was he made to leave without his animals? Okay, and therefore he was worried about the animals a lot. There was nothing to do about him. There was nothing to do about him. So over here the narrator also feels helpless, that there was nothing to do about the old man. He was not in a state, was not in that age to move quickly from that place. Okay, he didn't have any strength left. It was Easter Sunday, and the fascists were advancing towards the Ebro. Now, fascists are those people who support the extreme rights, okay, wing political system. I repeat, a person who supports an extreme right wing political system are called fascist, the oppositions. Okay, so he says that it was Easter Sunday and the fascists were advancing towards the Ebro River. It was a grey overcast day with the low ceiling, so the planes were not up. So it was a very cloudy day. Look at the weather, the color scheme which the author has used over here, and the combination of the day, the significance of Easter Sunday with the circumstances, that and the fact that cats know how to look after themselves was all the good luck that the old man would ever have. So he says that the circumstances were such, it was the cloudy day, okay, and the only good luck which the old man had was his cats. His cats who would look after themselves was the only good luck he had. Okay, and nothing more. So you can see, children, just want to give the significance of this Easter Sunday over here. Now, Easter Sunday. So actually, first of all, the author wants to tell everyone that war is like this only, that everything is grey, black, colorless. So the author also creates such a color scheme over here, color scheme which matches with the appearance of the old man. That he's wearing his black coat, I suppose, and he has that steel-rimmed spectacles. His face is dusty, his clothes are dusty. So similar is the state of nature, right? And in war also everything is grey, black, colorless. And see the significance of Easter Sunday. Easter Sunday is a time when Jesus Christ rose from the death. It's the third day after he was crucified. So here the old man is nearing death. For Christians, it is a kind of rebirth. Easter Sunday is kind of rebirth. But for the old man, it is an inevitable death, okay, which is approaching him. It is mental fatigue. His physical fatigue doesn't allow him to leave that place, okay, and therefore we see the horrors of war. These are the horrors of war. In the end, you'll find the old man reconciles himself with his impending death. When the soldier asks him to catch a ride on a truck to Barcelona to save his life, he refuses to do so. The soldier takes pity on him and says there was nothing to do about him. So thus he is worried more about the safety of his animals than his own safety. So you'll see that the narrator in the beginning of the story did not want to know much about the old man's story, but after he heard it, he began to feel pity and said that there was nothing to do about him. So the old man cannot get rid of the thought about the safety of his animals, and this thought makes him depressed and sad, and adds into the mental and the physical fatigue. So from this story, the readers come to know about the war, about the horrors of the war. So you'll find the story abounds in metaphors and symbols, and one of the symbols is the bridge, which represents uncertainty. The pontoon bridge mentioned over here shows it represents the uncertainty and dangers. As I told you, it's a connection between the life and impending death. Then next we'll find the pigeons, symbolize peace and harmony, and the fact that they fly away from the war may be a reference to the refugees who flee from the war to a safer place, right? And the cat over here is a symbol of independence, who does not need anybody to survive. But the goat is often used as a sacrificial animal. The goats, this probably represents the old man who reconciles himself with this impending death. That death is sure to come to him in case he doesn't go away. But his age, his mental and physical weakness doesn't allow him to escape the death. So this is the end of the chapter, children. Just go through the themes, the plot, the theme, and the characters, the proper summary of the story, and critically appreciate the story well, and see whether the title of the story is appropriate or not. Just go through the settings and style of this Hemingway. Thank you very much.